There's a ghost following you, the ghost of the person you were supposed to become. 3 in the morning. You're standing in front of the bathroom mirror. The house is silent. Everyone else is asleep. But you just got up, as if something pulled you out of bed by the sternum. And now you're here, staring at a face you've seen 10,000 times. But tonight, you're not looking at your face. You're looking through it, through the mask you've spent your whole life constructing. And behind that mask, you see something that makes your stomach drop. You see it, the ghost, a version of you that could have existed if only you hadn't been so goddamn afraid. This ghost has a name. We all know its name, even if we refuse to speak it aloud. The unlived life. And tonight, we're going to talk about that ghost. We're going to walk into the room where it lives. We're going to look at what you've been building in secret, brick by brick, every single day that you chose comfort over courage. This won't be pleasant, but I promise you, it will be necessary. Welcome to Fulgurite. There is a place inside you that you've never shown anyone. Not your mother, not your lover, not your closest friend. Perhaps not even yourself. It's a room, a small, dusty room with no windows. And every day that you don't live the life you know you're supposed to live, every day you postpone, you hesitate, you scroll instead of create, you consume instead of express. You add another brick to its walls. You don't notice it happening. That's the trick. The bricks are too small. Each individual act of cowardice is too insignificant to register. What's one more evening lost to the blue glow of a screen? What's one more week of I'll start Monday? What's one more year of I'm not ready yet? Nothing. A speck. A grain of sand. But grains of sand make deserts, and deserts swallow civilizations whole. This room I'm describing, I want you to see it. I want you to feel its weight pressing down on your chest right now as you read these words. Because that pressure you sometimes feel at night, that heaviness that settles over you when everything is quiet, that's the room. That's the accumulated mass of every unlived moment, every unspoken truth, every risk you didn't take. Some people call this regret, but regret is too soft a word, too poetic, too manageable. What I'm talking about is something more like a crime scene, a place where something beautiful was murdered in slow motion over years and decades by the very person who should have protected it. And the victim? You, the real you. The version of you that burns with purpose and moves through the world like a force of nature. The one who writes the book, starts the project, leaves the relationship that's killing them, speaks the truth that terrifies them, takes the leap that everyone says is crazy. That version of you is dying. Right now, as you read this. Not metaphorically, literally. Every passing minute is a minute stolen from your actual life and deposited into the dusty room of the unlived. And here's what nobody tells you. You don't get to keep both. You don't get to play it safe and live fully. You don't get to hedge your bets with existence. The universe doesn't negotiate. You're either building your life or you're building that room. There is no third option. Let me tell you something about the ghost that lives in the mirror. It knows everything about you. Every dream you abandoned, every calling you ignored, every time you felt the pull of something greater and turned away because the pull was too strong, too demanding, too likely to change everything. The ghost remembers. It remembers the night you sat down to write and closed the laptop after 3 sentences because you told yourself you weren't good enough. It remembers the conversation you didn't have, the one where you were supposed to say, I love you, or I'm leaving, or I need help, or I can't do this anymore. But instead you smiled and said everything was fine. It remembers the job application you never sent, the city you never moved to, the person you never approached, the class you never took, the truth you never told. The ghost is patient. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't scream or rage or demand attention. It just waits. And here's the most terrifying part. It's growing. Every day, it becomes more solid, more real, more you. While the version of you that walks around in the daylight, the one that goes to work and makes small talk and pretends to be fine, that version becomes thinner, more transparent, more ghost-like. Do you understand what I'm saying? The roles are reversing. The life you're living is becoming the ghost story, and the life you never lived is becoming the only thing that's real. I've seen this happen to people. I've watched it unfold over years. They wake up one morning at 50, at 60, at 70, and they realize with a clarity that breaks something inside them that they spent their entire existence rehearsing for a show that never opened. They were always getting ready, always preparing, always waiting for the right moment, the right circumstances, the right permission from some authority that never existed. And now it's over. The theater is empty. The audience has gone home. And they're standing alone on a dark stage, surrounded by costumes they never wore, scripts they never performed, lights that never turned on. This is not a metaphor for old age. This is happening to you right now. At whatever age you are, the room is being built, the ghost is growing, and every comfortable distraction you reach for is another nail in the coffin of your potential. Now here's where most people stop listening, because what I'm about to say will make you defensive. It will trigger the part of your brain that's been trained since childhood to protect itself from uncomfortable truths. You'll want to argue, you'll want to make excuses, you'll want to click away and find something that makes you feel better without asking anything of you. I understand. That's the reflex. That's the programming. But stay with me. The truth is this. Fear is not what's stopping you. I know that sounds wrong. I know you feel afraid. I know your palms sweat and your heart races and your mind floods with worst-case scenarios every time you think about doing the thing you know you're supposed to do. But fear itself has never stopped anyone from doing anything. What stops you is your relationship to fear, your belief that fear is a signal to retreat rather than a signal to advance. Your conviction, installed so deep you don't even recognize it as a conviction, that safety is the goal of life. It's not. Safety is the absence of life. Safety is the slow anesthetization of everything that makes existence worth living. Safety is the room you're building, brick by careful brick, disguised as wisdom, as prudence, as being realistic. Let me ask you something. When you were a child, 5, 6, 7 years old, did you dream of a safe life? Did you fantasize about stability, about a comfortable routine, about avoiding all risk and never making waves? No. You dreamed of adventure. You dreamed of becoming someone extraordinary. You dreamed of dragons and spaceships and great loves and impossible quests. You looked at the world with eyes that burned with wanting, and you knew, with a certainty that you've since learned to call naive, that you were meant for something. What happened to that child? They're still there. They're still inside you. But you've locked them in a cage and told them to be quiet while the adults handle things. You've rationalized their fire into a candle. You've explained away their hunger until it became a polite appetite. And now you call this maturity. But it's not maturity. It's surrender. It's the slow death that masquerades as growing up. Real maturity, the kind that actually produces wisdom, comes from engaging with fear, not avoiding it. It comes from walking into the fire and discovering that you don't burn, that the flames were always cold, that the monster in the closet was always just a shadow. You will never become who you're supposed to be by running from what frightens you. And deep down, past all the excuses and rationalizations, you know this. You've always known this. The ghost in the mirror knows it too. That's why it haunts you. Let's get specific, because I'm not here to give you abstract philosophy. I'm not here to make you feel vaguely inspired for 15 minutes before you scroll to the next thing. I'm here to put a knife in your hand and show you exactly where to cut. So answer me this, and answer honestly. Who are you betraying right now? Not tomorrow, not in some abstract future. Right now, today, this week. Who is waiting for you to become who you're supposed to be? Maybe it's a person. A child who needs you to be stronger, a partner who needs you to be present, a friend who needs you to speak truth, a parent who needs you to forgive, someone who loves you and is watching you slowly disappear into the comfortable numbness of modern life. Maybe it's a project, a book that's been waiting inside you for 10 years, a business you've drawn plans for in notebooks that gather dust, a skill you've always wanted to develop but never committed to. Maybe it's a version of yourself, the artist, the adventurer, the leader, the healer, the one who lives with courage instead of calculation. Whoever it is, they're watching, they're waiting. And with every day that passes, their hope dims a little more. This is not guilt I'm trying to produce in you. Guilt is useless. Guilt is the tax the ego pays to feel bad without changing anything. No. What I'm pointing at is something much simpler and much more terrible. Responsibility. You are responsible for the unlived life, not your parents, not your circumstances, not the economy or the government or the cruel hand that fate dealt you. You. I don't say this to shame you. I say this because it's the only thing that can set you free. As long as you believe that external forces are keeping you from your life, you'll remain a victim, a passenger, a ghost yourself. But the moment you accept, really accept in your bones, that you are the author of your own captivity, that's the moment the cage door swings open. The lock was never on the outside, it was always on the inside. And you've been holding the key the whole time. Now, let me show you how the trap works, because it's elegant really, diabolically so. The modern world has perfected the art of keeping you frozen, not through chains or walls or obvious oppression. Those are too crude, too easily resisted. No, the new prison is made of something far more insidious. Infinite options that lead nowhere. Think about it. You have access to more information than any human being in history. More entertainment, more connection, more opportunity. You can learn anything, watch anything, become anything, at least in theory. And yet you're paralyzed. You know why? Because abundance without direction is not freedom. It's chaos. It's a labyrinth with no exit. It's the illusion of possibility that actually functions as a cage. When you can do anything, you do nothing. When every path seems available, you walk none of them. You stand at the crossroads forever, spinning in circles, researching your options, optimizing your approach, waiting for certainty that will never come. Meanwhile, the room gets another brick. The algorithm knows this about you. The platforms know this. The entire economic engine of the attention economy is built on a simple premise. Keep them scrolling, keep them consuming, keep them in a state of low-level stimulation that's just interesting enough to prevent boredom, but never meaningful enough to produce satisfaction. You're not a user, you're a resource. Your attention, your time, your life force, these are being extracted from you and converted into data points, into advertising revenue, into the accumulated power of systems that do not care whether you ever become who you're supposed to be. They don't need you fulfilled. They need you hungry, always hungry, never fed, because satisfied people don't scroll at 2 in the morning. Content people don't refresh their feeds 40 times a day. People who are living their actual lives don't have 3 hours of screen time to harvest. And so the machine feeds you just enough dopamine to keep you coming back, but never enough meaning to set you free. This is the world you were born into. This is the environment that shapes your days, your habits, your very sense of what's possible. But here's what they don't want you to realize. You can opt out, not by smashing your phone or moving to a cabin in the woods. Those are just different forms of running away. You opt out by becoming so committed to your own becoming that the distractions lose their power. You opt out by making your life so compelling that the screen becomes boring by comparison. The ghost in the mirror is not defeated by willpower. It's defeated by purpose so strong that fear becomes irrelevant. And that purpose, that fire, it's waiting for you. It's been waiting for you all along. Let me tell you what the unlived life actually costs. Not in abstractions, not in philosophy, in flesh, in blood, in the actual physical degradation of the body that carries you through this world. You think your unexpressed life stays neatly contained in some psychological compartment? You think the dreams you've abandoned just disappear like smoke into air? No, they go into your body. They become the tension in your shoulders that never releases, the jaw you clench in your sleep, the knot in your stomach that tightens every Sunday evening before the work week begins, the headaches, the insomnia, the strange, sourceless anxiety that follows you like a shadow. The body keeps the score. That's not just a book title. It's a fundamental law of human existence. Every truth you don't speak, every action you don't take, every fire you swallow instead of releasing, it all has to go somewhere. And where it goes is into your tissue, your organs, your nervous system. I've seen people die of the unlived life, not metaphorically, literally. The heart attack at 52, the cancer that comes out of nowhere, the immune system that simply gives up. Yes, there are genetic factors. Yes, there are environmental causes. But underneath it all, running through every cell like a dark current, is the accumulated weight of a life that was never allowed to fully express itself. You are not a machine that processes experience neutrally. You are a living organism that either thrives or deteriorates based on the alignment between what you are and what you do. When these two things match, when your outer life reflects your inner truth, something miraculous happens. Energy flows, health improves, the body becomes a channel for something greater than itself. But when they don't match, when you spend your days pretending to be someone you're not, doing work that means nothing to you, suppressing the very things that make you alive, the body rebels, slowly at first, then all at once. I'm not trying to scare you with health statistics. I'm trying to show you that the stakes are higher than you think. This isn't just about fulfillment or happiness or living your best life or whatever hollow phrase the wellness industry is selling this week. This is about survival. The unlived life is not sustainable. It will kill you. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually, inevitably, the weight becomes too much. And when that moment comes, when the body finally presents the bill for all those years of betrayal, there will be no negotiating, no extensions, no second chances. The ghost will have won. Here's something I want you to understand about time, because I don't think you really understand it yet. None of us do. Not really. You treat time like it's infinite. Oh, you say you know it's limited. You nod when someone reminds you that life is short. You've heard the quotes, read the books, maybe even had a close call or two that made you appreciate things for a week before you slid back into the trance. But you don't know it. Not in your bones, not in the place where knowing actually changes behavior. If you really knew, if you truly understood that you are going to die, that everyone you love is going to die, that this entire elaborate performance we call human civilization is a temporary flickering against the infinite dark, you would not live the way you're living. You would not spend 3 hours a day staring at a glowing rectangle, ingesting the opinions of strangers. You would not tolerate relationships that drain you, work that numbs you, habits that diminish you. You would not postpone the things that matter until some hypothetical future when conditions are perfect. Because there is no future, not really. There's only this moment, endlessly renewed until suddenly it isn't. Let me make this concrete. If you're 30 years old and you live to be 80, which is not guaranteed, not promised, not owed to you, you have roughly 2,600 weeks left, 2,600 Saturdays. 2,600 times you'll wake up and have a day to spend. Is that a lot? Does that feel like abundance? Now subtract the weeks you'll spend sick, the weeks you'll spend tired, the weeks you'll spend doing things you have to do rather than things you want to do, the weeks you'll lose to obligation, to maintenance, to the endless administrative machinery of modern existence. How many are left? And of those remaining weeks, the ones that are truly yours, truly free, truly available for the living of your actual life, how many are you currently sacrificing to the ghost? How many are you feeding to the room? I'm not saying this to depress you. Depression is just another form of paralysis, another excuse to sit in the dark and feel bad without moving. I'm saying this to wake you up. The clock is ticking. It's been ticking since you were born. And every moment you spend not living is a moment you can never get back. There are no refunds, no do-overs, no loading a previous save when you finally realize you've been playing the wrong game. This is it. Right now. This. Now let me show you what happens when someone actually listens. Throughout history, there have been those who refused, who looked at the comfortable prison being constructed around them and said no, who felt the pull of the unlived life and, instead of surrendering to it, used it as fuel. These people are not special, not genetically superior, not touched by gods or blessed by fate. They simply made a different choice. They chose discomfort over death. They chose the terror of becoming over the slow suffocation of remaining. They chose again and again, in small moments and large ones, to honor the fire inside them rather than extinguish it. And look what they built. Every book that ever changed your life was written by someone who felt the same fear you feel, who faced the same blank page, Who heard the same voices whispering you're not good enough? Who do you think you are? What makes you so special? And kept writing anyway. Every movement that ever bent the arc of history toward justice was started by someone who had every reason to stay quiet, to play it safe, to protect their comfortable life, and spoke anyway. Every great love, every revolutionary act, every work of transcendent beauty was created by someone who stood at the edge of the same cliff you're standing at right now and jumped anyway. This is not about talent. Talent is common. Talent is cheap. The world is full of talented people who never did anything with their gifts because they were too afraid to risk failure, too comfortable in their mediocrity, too invested in the ghost life to let it go. What's rare is courage. What's rare is the willingness to be bad at something before you're good at it, to be rejected before you're accepted, to be wrong before you're right, to make a fool of yourself in public, to fail spectacularly, to keep going anyway. The people who actually live, who leave behind unlived lives of substance and beauty and impact, are not the ones who avoided failure. They're the ones who failed more than everyone else, because they tried more than everyone else, because they refused to let fear make their choices for them. This could be you. This should be you. There's nothing stopping you except the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't. And that story? It's fiction. It's a ghost story you've mistaken for reality. The room is not finished yet. The ghost has not won yet. The mirror still shows your face, not its face, but the clock is ticking. So here we are, you and me, at the end of something, or maybe at the beginning. It's hard to tell with these things. I've shown you the room. I've introduced you to the ghost. I've tried to describe, in whatever clumsy language I have available, the stakes of the game you're playing, whether you acknowledge it or not. Now there's only one question left, and it's not a philosophical question. It's not something to contemplate over coffee and forget by lunch. It's a question that demands an answer in action, in the concrete reshaping of how you spend your hours and days. The question is this: what are you going to do tomorrow? Not, what do you want to do someday? Not, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Not, what's your 5-year plan, or what's your passion, or any of the other hollow prompts that let you fantasize without committing. Tomorrow, when you wake up, when the alarm goes off and you have to decide once again how to spend the limited currency of your existence. Will you choose the room, or will you choose life? Because here's what I know. The grand gestures don't matter. The dramatic transformations, the overnight revolutions, the radical life overhauls, these are fantasies. They're another form of procrastination, actually. Another way of saying, I'll change everything later so you don't have to change anything now. Real transformation happens in small moments. It happens when you wake up and instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for your notebook. When you feel the fear of making that call and you dial anyway. When the comfortable path and the courageous path diverge, and you take the one that scares you. These moments don't look like much. They won't make a good Instagram story. No one will applaud you for them. But they're everything. They're the bricks you could be removing from the room, one by one, day by day, until the walls start to crumble and light starts to flood in and the ghost starts to fade and you, the real you, the one who's been trapped inside all this time, finally gets to breathe. Before we part, I want to do something strange. I want to speak directly to the ghost, to the unlived life, to the version of you that exists only in possibility in the dusty room of what might have been, because I think it needs to hear something. Listen. I know you're waiting. I know you've been waiting for a long time. You've watched through the window of possibility as year after year passed, as chances came and went. As the gap between what was and what could be grew wider and wider. You've been patient, more patient than anyone should have to be. You've watched the person you belong to make choices that pushed you further away, choices that prioritized safety over aliveness, comfort over truth. And still you waited, not because you're weak, because you know something they don't. You know that it's not too late, not yet. You know that as long as there's breath, as long as there's consciousness, as long as the mirror still reflects a living face, there's a chance. You're not angry. You're not resentful. You understand that becoming is hard, that the world conspires against it, that every force in modern life is designed to keep your host asleep, scrolling, consuming, forgetting. But you haven't given up on them, and that's why I'm speaking to you now, to tell you that your patience might be rewarded, to tell you that something is shifting, that the person reading these words, the one you've been waiting for, is starting to wake up. Be ready, because when they finally turn toward you, when they finally decide to close the gap, to tear down the room, to let you live through them, you'll need to be there. You'll need to flood into their bloodstream with all the energy and vision and purpose you've been storing for so long. They're going to need you, and you're going to need to be ready to become them. We're back where we started now. The bathroom, the mirror, the silence of the sleeping house. You're still standing there. You've been standing there this whole time, really. Reading these words with one eye while the other eye watches your reflection, trying to see what I've been describing. The ghost, the room, the unlived life pressing against the glass like something trying to break through from the other side. What do you see now? Has anything changed? Has the face in the mirror shifted, even slightly? Is there something different in the eyes? A flicker of recognition, a spark of defiance, the first faint ember of a fire that's been banked too long? I can't answer that for you. I'm not there. I'm just words on a screen, a voice from somewhere else, another ghost of sorts. But I can tell you what I hope you see. I hope you see someone who's ready, not perfect, never perfect, not unafraid. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more. But ready. Ready to stop building the room. Ready to face the ghost. Ready to close the gap between who they are and who they could be. I hope you see someone who understands, finally, that the cost of the unlived life is not some abstract future punishment, but a present reality, a weight they've been carrying all along, a slow poison they've been swallowing every day they chose comfort over truth. And I hope, more than anything, that you see someone who's about to move. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Now, tonight, before the sun rises and the world wakes up and the machinery of distraction starts grinding again. Before the excuses rebuild themselves. Before the fear has time to marshal its arguments. Right now, while the mirror is still showing you the truth. The night won't last forever. Soon the sky will lighten, the house will wake. The day will begin with all its demands and distractions and opportunities for forgetting. This window, this strange quiet space between sleep and waking, between the person you've been and the person you could become, it will close. So if there's something you need to decide, decide it now. If there's something you need to commit to, commit now. If there's a phone call you need to make, a conversation you need to have, a project you need to start, a truth you need to speak, let this be the moment you stop waiting and start moving. The ghost is watching, the room is waiting, and the clock, as always, is ticking. But you're still here, still breathing, still capable of choices that matter. That's not nothing. That's everything, actually. That's the whole game. The life you never lived is not a tragedy that's already happened. It's a tragedy that's still being written, moment by moment, choice by choice. And as long as you're the one holding the pen, you can change the story. You can tear out the pages. You can burn the manuscript. You can start again, right now, with whatever time you have left. The question was never whether you had permission. The question was never whether you were ready. The question was only ever whether you would choose to live before you died. And that question is still open. It will be open until your last breath. So, what do you choose? Go now. And don't come back until you've done something that terrifies you.